Shaun of the Dead is a 2004 horror comedy film directed by Edgar Wright and an obvious parody of George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. It stars Simon Pegg, Kate Ashfield, Lucy Davis, Nick Frost, among others. It is a film I recently saw this year, so let's get right into it. The premise of this film centers on the title character, Shaun, played by Pegg, an average Joe living an average American life. That is, until he is, thrust into a zombie apocalypse. Now, he must team up with his friend, Ed, played by Frost, as they try to find out what is going on and defend themselves from the undead maniacs. So, this premise is your average zombie tale, but what's different about it is how it all plays out. Because this is a more lighthearted take on it, and man is it great, and part of that is due to watching how these characters react to all these horrible events. At first, they don't even notice it, and hell, the main character is even walking into work one day, and he doesn't even notice how eerily empty the streets are. It's just so hysterical because he acts as though it's just another day. And when they do encounter a zombie, they think that she's drunk at first. Let's not forget that one of their first weapons of choice is Shaun's record collection. And so the zombies are so slow, they have enough time to figure out which albums they want to keep and which ones should be used as projectiles against the zombies. It's just so fun because it just pokes fun at how much ample time you would have if a zombie was after you. And of course, Ed was a fucking riot. Like, he probably had some of the funniest lines in the film, was probably the highlight due to that. And since the story didn't take itself too seriously, it resulted in a fun story with so much energy. This story also gets surprisingly emotional at times, such as when Shaun, reconciles with his stepfather. And it didn't feel out of place at all, since while this is a comedy, it still is a horror, and these people actually are in danger. So it didn't feel odd at all. I give premise a B+. It just had so much energy and kept me entertained throughout. Next is acting. Acting in this film was also really good, because while this was a horror comedy, they still all did a good job at conveying how serious of a situation this is. Like, despite the funny interactions, they do seem genuinely scared in some areas. And because there is some drama thrown in, and it was kind of needed. Like, there are some surprisingly emotional moments in this, and part of what makes them so is the performances that sell the weight of the more dramatic scenes. Like the scene between Shaun and his mother at the end. It managed to be surprisingly soul-stirring because you could just tell how hard it was for Shaun to do what he did. Especially if it gives kudos to Nick Frost, who managed to blend both his goofball moments and his more serious moments very well. Because even when his acting got a little more dramatic, he still managed to be goofy. And the performances are also part of why the comedy works so well, because of how these characters react to some of these situations, as I said before. Like when Shaun and Ed call his mom, Barbara, and plan a rescue. So Ed literally shouts, "We're coming to get you, Barbara!" First Living Dead reference, in the most hammed up way possible. I give acting a B+. The performances were just so funny, yet they still managed to convey a very serious tone. Next is special effects, and they were pretty fucking cool. This being a zombie movie obviously shows you in full detail people getting eaten. Man, do they not shy away from it. You get close-ups of flesh being bitten off, people getting their limbs ripped off. One character even has his stomach ripped open, has his insides literally torn out. It just helped to make the zombies more of a threat because it gave you a chance to see just how vicious they truly were. The squelching sounds that are heard as they pull out someone's insides also adds to how authentic the effects feel. Not much else to say on special effects, but holy shit did they go all the way with this movie. I give special effects an A-. They were just so impressive, and the special effects team just fucking put their all into this. Really impressed with how it turned out. Now, cinematography, there were some shots in this movie that were just so stunning, but with that said, the cinematography was alright. Of course, it wasn't great, but it was pretty damn good in some areas. Like, some of these shots literally look like they came out of a painting. And this shot was just framed so perfectly. And the lighting in this shot was pretty good too. I give cinematography a B+. It was decent for the most part, but when it was good, damn. Finally, directing. Edgar Wright's direction was part of what made this film so fun. The editing had such a fast-paced feel to it, and it ended up giving the film so much energy as a result. The way he builds these characters up is also really good because of how much time he spends with them. Like, he reveals so much about them that it actually helps to add to the more dramatic moments in the film, such as the strained relationship Shaun had with his father. This added such a deep layer to our main protagonist and actually adds some complexities to his character. I give directing a B+. I really do think it's one of the major factors as to why this film was so entertaining. Overall, Shaun of the Dead is a perfect horror comedy film that manages to blend the dramatic and scary moments with the more comedic moments very well. Usually, these two things don't end up complementing each other very well, but here it actually works because the characters still act determined when shit goes down. Yet it still manages to be funny due to how the situations play out as well as how the characters react. Like there was one scene where a character is holding a broken beer glass to another's throat, and while the performance is sold you on just how drastic it was just so hilarious because the direction is just so zany, and the main character's insults were straight up phenomenal. Like when he called him an accountant just because he looked like one. This is just such a bizarre insult to use to describe someone that ended up being very humorous. And the way he called him a twat just killed me. It also has some awesome nods to Romero's films here and there. I give Shaun of the Dead a B+. A good horror comedy that still manages to demonstrate just how drastic the situation would be. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and sub for more content.